It's time for a book call, and first I'll say this will be the last book call I'll do in a while. I've currently put myself on a book buying ban after this recent haul that I'm going to feature today, which is from our Friends of the Library sale, and I also went to another Friends of the Library sale about a month ago. And then towards the end of the last year, if you're a fan of this channel, you know I happened to get a $100 gift card to Barnes & Noble, so I had a big haul from there. So I really have a ton of books in my to-be-read pile, about 2.5 shelf worths on my bookcase, and normally I only have about a shelf to half a shelf into my read pile, so I really need to go a few months without buying any to kind of narrow down this to-be-read pile. So just wanted to warn you, if you wonder why I might go a few months on the channel after this video without doing any haul videos, that's why. It's because I'm simply not buying any books until I read a lot of these. But that being said, as I mentioned earlier, I went to a Friends of the Library sale this past week. I volunteered at it some, and while I was there I took a chance to get some books. I'm very happy with the ones I got, so very excited to share those with you. So first up, I have Spinnernet by Timothy Zahn. I should say, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that title right, but the entire reason why I got this book is because I'm a huge fan of the author, Timothy Zahn. He wrote some of my favorite Star Wars books of all time, and he also, out of those, the Thrawn trilogy is definitely my favorite Star Wars series of all time, and Heir to the Empire, which is the first book of that one, is probably my favorite Star Wars book of all time, and one of my favorite books, period, of all time. So, really love Timothy Zahn, but I've never read any of his non-Star Wars books. So when I saw this at the book sale, I thought, I'm going to check this out. You know, this might get me into reading some of other Timothy Zahn's non-Star Wars stuff. So, interested to see how I like his stuff outside of the world of Luke and Leia and the Skywalkers and the Force and stuff. So, Timothy Zahn's Spinnernet. Like I said again, not sure if I'm pronouncing that title right or not. Next up, you have Everyman by Philip Roth. This book wasn't too familiar with it, but I read another book about Philip Roth, The Plot Against America. I've really loved it ever since then. I've always thought like I definitely wanted to read more of his books. I just hadn't really got around to it. When I saw this one, one thing that appealed to me is it's a kind of short book, and since I mentioned I have a lot of books in my to-be-read pile, short books are kind of appealing in that way. So I thought maybe this is a good chance for me to check out another Philip Roth book and see, if I like 2 of his books, then I definitely want to check out more. Sometimes you might just happen to like one book and not necessarily all the author's work. So I thought this would be a good chance to check out another one of his books that wouldn't be too long of a read and kind of test out to see how big of a fan I am of Philip Roth. So again, that's Everyman by Philip Roth. Next up, you have A Hole in Texas by Herman Walk. I'm a huge fan of this author. I've read several of his books. The King Mutiny probably being my favorite, but he's written, I think I've read 4 or 5 of his books, and every one of them I've really loved. So I hadn't really seen this book before, and it sounded kind of interesting, but he's one of those authors that since every book of his I've read, anytime I see a book of his, even if it just sounds remotely interesting, I usually check it out because I just have a lot of faith in this author. So, A Hole in Texas by Herman Walk. Next up is Shadow Moon by George Lucas and Chris Claremont. So much like the Timothy Zahn book, what caught my eye on this one was George Lucas, obviously Star Wars fame. So when I saw that, I was like, I wonder what this is about. So I picked it up, and actually, according to the back cover of this one, this is kind of a follow-up book to the movie Willow, which as a kid was one of my favorite movies. I'll be honest, I haven't seen Willow in a long time, so I'm not sure how well it stands up. But it kind of intrigued me to see what a follow-up to that storyline was. And, George Lucas, obviously I've loved a lot of the stuff he's done with Star Wars. So I thought, why not check this out? It's one of these things, if I'd seen this at a bookstore and it had been regular retail price, I probably would have checked it out. But the Friends of the Library sale, paperbacks were just $1. So I'm like, hey, why not take a risk? It's just $1. And you're supporting a good cause at the same time. So Shadow Moon by George Lucas and Chris Claremont. Next up is the first nonfiction book in this haul. It's Virus Hunters of the CDC, I should say Level 4 Virus Hunters of the CDC by Joseph McCormick and Susan Fisher-Hotch, both MDs, as you might guess. The CDC's always been something that's really fascinated me because I live in the Atlanta area, and if you don't know, the CDC is actually headquartered in Atlanta. So a lot of people, if you grow up in Georgia, you're really You get a lot of CDC news, like probably more than the rest of the nation, because the CDC is right here. A lot of people actually know people that work at the CDC. If you drive around Atlanta, you drive by the CDC headquarters. So stuff with the CDC has always been kind of fascinating to me. But I've never really read a book just about the CDC. And this was written by two doctors who actually worked at the CDC and really helped shape a lot of the more modern procedures of the CDC and how they fight diseases around the world. So that sounded like an interesting topic, so I thought I'd check it out. So Level 4, Virus Hunters of the CDC by Joseph McCormick and Susan Fisher Hodge. Again, sorry for mispronouncing any names. Then you have Foundation Sphere, which is the first book apparently in the second Foundation trilogy by Gregory Benford that is authorized by the estate of Isaac Asimov. I'm a huge fan of the Foundation series. It's one of my favorite sci-fi series of all time. I really wasn't aware that Asimov's estate had gave another author permission to continue this series. So when I saw that, I was like, not sure how I like it. I really love the original series, but anytime you switch to a new author, you're a little hesitant. So, but I thought, again, books cheap hardbacks for just $2. I'd give it a try, because if it's anything remotely as good as the books in the original series, I should really enjoy this one a lot. So, Foundation Sphere by Gregory Benford. And last up is Elizabeth I by Margaret George. And this looks like a nonfiction book, but it's not. It's kind of a historical fiction novel, which, as a lover of history, I always really have enjoyed historical fiction novels, because you get that little bit of history that I love, but at the same time you kind of get to explore it a little bit more in plot detail than you typically get to in historical books. And also, the author gets to play around with history a little bit when you delve into the fiction side of history. So Elizabeth I has also definitely been a very fascinating figure in world history. Played a huge part in shaping the world we live in today. So I thought a novel based on her life would be pretty interesting. And again, it's just $2, so I thought, why not? So Elizabeth I by Margaret George. So those are the books I got at the Friends Library sale. Again, like I said, I won't be doing a haul again, so this will be the last book haul video you'll see from me anytime. But if you've read any of these books I did in the haul today, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. And since I won't be doing any book haul videos anymore, if you have any ideas for the types of videos you'd like to see me do on this channel, be sure to let me know, because obviously I do more than on this channel than just book haul videos. But since I'll be going without any hauls for a while, I'll be looking for some new video content ideas to replace the videos I normally dedicated towards the haul. So if you have any ideas, be it Star Wars, other book related stuff, movies, TV show, life in general, just let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like and comment and all that good stuff, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. And as I mentioned every once in a while, I'm also a part of a couple other channels, Project Nerding and We Read Books. You'll find the links to those in the description box below. Please check those out and subscribe as well. And I'll see you the next time.